Hello, everybody. Welcome to another chapter of our podcast. In this chapter, we talk you about racial segregation. Racial segregation consists of the separation of different racial groups in daily life, which can be detected by law or can exist throughout the social norms, and it is maintained in various ways, for example, through discrimination or violence. In countries where racial segregation has sticks, affects people who practice rights such as voting, access to education or medical care, and they have been separated in public places. In this podcast, we are going to talk about a person who represented the beginning of the end of racial segregation in the United States. She is Rosa Parks.
Okay, Rosa Lois Macaulay Parks was born in Tuskegee, Alabama on 4 February 1913, and she died at the age of 92 in Detroit, Michigan on 24 October 2005 by a heart attack at the retirement home in Detroit where she spent her last years. On 30 October 2005, her remains were honored in the Capitol Rotunda, becoming the first woman and second African American person to receive this honor.
Rosa was the daughter of carpenter James Macaulay and the teacher Leona Edwards. She was of Native American, African, Scottish, and Irish ancestry. When she finished her studies, she married with the barber Raymond Park, who was the first activist at Rosa Mix. He was a member of the affiliate of National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, NAACP, in Montgomery. When Rosa learned that women could participate in meetings, she was able to attend one, and she was elected secretary of branch at its third meeting.
Rosa studied at the Montgomery Industrial School for Girls and at the Alabama State Teachers College for Blacks, which she had to leave to care for her sick mother.
At that time, racial segregation was deeply rooted. Since the Supreme Court had established in the case of Plessy versus Ferguson in 1860 that the racially separate facilities were not unconstitutional. In those years, blacks in the United States suffered the humiliation of not being able to share the same public places with whites. Segregation reached such a point that only white or not black signs were displayed in the bathrooms. The Jim Crow laws inherited from 19th century slavery were designed to make African Americans feel inferior, and thus keep them marginalized from society. In Pine Level, Alabama, where black children went to school by bus, while African American children had to walk.
On 1 December 1955, she challenged the racial segregation that existed in parts of the United States by refusing to give up her seat for a white person to sit down, initiating the current civil rights movement. Her protest was supported by many other black people and sparked the civil rights movement that, in the 1960s, finally achieved equal rights. Parks knew that what she was doing was illegal and the failure to vote was going to have consequences. However, she probably didn't know that she would be the spark that would ignite the flame of the American movement against discriminatory laws. Her arrest that they got the boycott sparked to the Montgomery City buses, which lasted more than a year and it was spearheaded by Martin Luther King. During the boycott, about 50,000 African Americans rode together in their cars, used charged vehicles, took African American owned taxis, or walked. The move damaged white businesses and the public transportation system. Parks and other activists filed, filed a judicial appeal against segregation, and in June 1966, a federal court declared the segregation on buses unconstitutional.
The Rosa Parks case transcended and ended up giving voice to movements for the end of segregation that had already begun to be noticed. Martin Luther King organized a wave of desegregation protests on Montgomery public buses that lasted 382 days. The African Americans who participated marched up to 9 kilometers, and when asked how they felt, some responded, my feet are tired, but my soul are liberated. 5 years later, in 1960, the United States Supreme Court ended up declaring the law regulating racial segregation in public transportation unconstitutional. That segregation ended up being totally annulled in 1964 with the Civil Rights Act that banished it, at least officially, although in practice it took somewhat longer to be effective in other areas such as schools or workplaces. In 1979, the NAACP presented parts with its highest recognition, the Spingarn Medal, and the following year she received the Martin Luther King. Rosa Parks was inducted into the Michigan Women's Hall of Fame in 1983 for her achievements in advancing civil rights. In 1996, she will be awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom. After a lifetime of batting racing, Parks received the gold medal from the United States Congress in 1999.
The Rosa Parks Library and Museum was named in her honor in November 2000. The name Rosa Parks was given to an RER station in Paris, which was inaugurated on 13 December 2015. The tram stops that serve Rosa Parks stations, lines T3 and TA, also take her name. A mural designed by local residents illustrating the life of Rosa Parks was installed in one of the corridors of this station. In the city of Miami, Florida, each bus has a sign behind the driver's seats that serves as a tribute to Rosa Parks. In her honor, President Barack Obama inaugurated a life-size statue in the National Statues Hall of the United States Capitol on 27 February 2013. In the United States, where slavery for the black population was abolished in 1865, racism continues to be a reality in everyday life. In 1964, the Civil Rights Act ended discrimination in public places, in government, and in employment. Thanks to this law, there has been a great change in the society of this country. Although some states continue to maintain racial segregation laws that they refuse to abolish. There are still countries that maintain in practice segregation laws, which affect part of their citizens and regardless of the laws. Many countries allow a significant part of their population to suffer discrimination based on their skin color or ethnic origin. Racial segregation not only harms discriminated people. If a large part of the population lacks fundamental human rights, the entire society is affected. Thank you so much.